Well, that brings us to our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen. We're joined by a digital and social media evangelist, a corporate speaker, and a trainer who comes with 17 years of holistic experience in the marketing domain. In fact, she's also been a source of inspiration for many young guns and the brain behind digital success stories for many blue-chip accounts across India as well as global. Can we have a warm round of applause to welcome Deepa Sayal, director and co-founder, ADG Online.
And I just wanted Deepa to, share her comments on social listening is still going to stay. We want to use a lot of analytics from this platform and keep using that, going back into brand insights and how brands can target better. What are the one or two changes that you've seen over the span of the last 12 to 18 months in this area?
Stehi, this is a very interesting question, and as somebody who's been associated with social media for almost like 8 years, I see things changing in a very, very big way in the next 5 years. So yesterday, the gentleman asked a question about predictive analytics, and they said this is not related. But I want to tell you, firstly, in simplistic terminologies, for people who don't know social listening, it is understanding your consumers, having real-time conversation with them, doing diagonal conversations with them. So where it's coming from is that, going forward, we're going to have a lot of PA coming in, which is predictive analytics. We'll have Internet of Things, so presence of IPs in the, in the internet space, and a lot of data getting into it. And data would be seen as a major component where CIOs and CEOs are concerned to take larger decisions in a different format altogether. So that is the third thing that I'd say is, if anybody here is familiar with iBeacons, so that's also going to be a very, very big opportunity in 2015 and 2016, and people are going to comprehend in a different way and different marketing output coming in. So things are going to change in a very, very big way as I see going forward. These three major things. So when I say Internet of Things, iBeacons, and PA, predictive analytics would hold the key. Yeah, and it's about creating beautiful experiences for your clients, through action-led strategies. So one by one, step by step, as he mentioned, Arun, then content is very important. So content is really important when it comes to, building engagement with people, and then knowing where are my customers, how do I engage with them. For example, for one of the brands, we did this campaign wherein they gave us a, let's say cloud score of 40 and above. That's first. Second, what is the engagement percentage of people talking about on the page? How do you judge it like that? That's one part. Then how many people are speaking about you? Are you connecting with your influencers? Who are your influencers? How do you find that? That is one way of looking. That is grade one. Grade two is some of the organizations that really upgraded to something called, a CRM tool integrated with a marketing automation tool. And that's the advanced thing that I'm talking about. First is this that I mentioned. The second one, you may look at it as that CRM combined with my marketing automation tool will give me very powerful inferences. And I can actually know who am I talking to and what is my customer's buying cycle or journey. How can I engage in a more healthy way, in a subtle way, step by step. So that is very, very important from a marketer's perspective.
Dipali, I had another question for you, and because you've always at some point in time been with CPG, I understand the business objectives that you have as of today and for a CPG client are very different. In the context of CPG clients, largely we don't see them very, very strongly on digital. We always hear, they're always on panels. There's a lot of discourse that happens around the role that digital plays. But my belief is they're really not out there making those strong investments in digital. From an FMCG perspective, what is really stopping them? Is there something on the measurement side that needs to change? Is there something from a platform perspective that needs to change? What's important to really shift the discussion with them?
No. And if I would like to add one thing, social media listening would definitely contribute to BI, which is business intelligence, and next 3 years will be business intelligence if you look at the advanced versions. That's first. And don't be surprised if you have chief social media officers and chief listening officers sitting in the gathering from next year onwards. That is the kind of vision we have. So this is going to be important, and it does give you a ballpark. Even a CEO or CIO cannot ignore the influence social media as a complete entity has.
So Deepa, it looks like we're moving towards the evolution of some new roles, some new organization structures, which also obviously makes me ask, do you also feel some existing roles will become redundant?
I think the top and the bottom of the funnel is going to get, it's going to shorten up. Why? Because now the customer is the new. He's the one who's going to endorse your brand and tell you a direct feedback. The first thing first, the product has to be of, there can be no, we cannot take, pinch of salt with the product. It has to be really, really good in terms, so you should be bold. The brand should be bold enough to go all out and, speak of in terms of that. So that is one thing that will really, really change the way. So funnel gets reduced and everything gets automated, one touch. You see mobile phones, how they've changed. Steve Jobs showed us the way ahead. So it's one touch now, and I think the agency's role would change. I will not say abolish, I used it the other day, you can nail me, that's a big thing to say. But agencies would be serving as a consultant to brands, and everything is going to get automated. And there'll be so much that you'll have at one touch interface, whether it is virtual money coming and a different tool every day coming up, and you'll have to be a tool junkie if you have to survive. And there's one thing that I like to add, I'm sorry, this is social media plus big data equals to social selling. This is an article that I posted yesterday on my LinkedIn profile. So please, I think this is something that leaves you a thought with and a lot of stuff. But, coming from e-commerce also, I think we haven't touched that aspect. So I'll just briefly, e-commerce is going to be very aggressive because consumer sentiment in India is very, very high. And there's a lot of movement. Every day in the newspaper, you see a new startup. So e-commerce is going to be very big. Can I engage them? Please allow me. So any ideas on any ballparks on next 5 years? What is the e-commerce industry size going to be in India? Anyone? Of course, we are 10 years behind China. That's what the newspapers say at least. So what is going to be the size of the e-commerce industry next 5 years? It's going to be $100 billion US. It's going to be huge. We're sitting at almost, I think, 14 billion. You'd like to correct me if you know better. So that's one. And what is the size of mobile, per se, in the next 6 months? How many subscribers are we going to add in India only? I mean, I'm talking about the mobile opportunity for marketers in this hall. 40 million. So this is huge. We're talking, there's a big revolution that awaits us in the next couple of years. For good.
Most of these are smartphones. So most of these are going to be smartphones.
And a lot of them will be on Facebook. To you, and that's the last question for all of you. What is that one immediate thing that each one of you in your capacity would want to do to really make this whole measurement puzzle more solvable?
Yeah, for us, we would want to graduate into a product-centric company. So services, graduate to a product-centric company, which talks about a very powerful tool that'll go to marketers and say, combine the data and we'll give you insights. So graduating for everybody to a product-centric version is my priority. And just for the basic, I'm sorry, we have been mentioning Facebook and Twitter, no offenses, but we have other platforms like Flipboard, we have other places like Wine. There's a brand that said, B2B space, they said, we really want to have a different perspective and we want to go all aggressive with Wine. So there are many other tools which can engage in a very, very...
Are you able to hear me now? Okay, so when we are talking about tracking on the last mile, predictive analysis, okay, what do you all think in the perspective whether the so-called advertisers are really ready to take it? This question actually implies to all the marketers and the publishers, preferably Deepa or Arun.
Yeah, so I don't know, but then there's a beautiful book by Eric Siegel, if you've read it, it's called Predictive Analytics. There's a nice chapter in that and says, you won't believe it, that people are predicting stock market movements, by social media, by being on social media blogs, how the stock market is going. This looks impossible, but this is possible. So that is the beauty of PA.
Questions were misconstrued. What I wanted to understand was your thoughts on how social will reach out to these guys, because it seems to be the domain of the brands who pay money, right? And like the gentleman put it across, cost of likes, which was roughly about ₹1.50 3 years ago, is booming up to $8. You might say it's a great, model, open model, and we are doing it like AdWords, and we are trying to give a bidding strategy. No, I don't think that really works, right?
I'll take that, maybe.
I'm so sorry, but I think there's a way of organically building your likes, and we see pages, we build pages where, of course, PPC is very, very imperative, but if you're doing good dialogue with your customers and standing apart in a different way, and as Diwali said, it's just a standout piece, it's just a small piece, you got to look at the holistic picture, and I'm sure you can engage in a very good way.
Thanks a lot to all of you for being a really patient audience. We love the questions. Thanks to all of you as well. And Deepali, our meeting's on for Monday. We're discussing budgets here. Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys.